Firstly, before we begin, does anyone happen to know that you're here? No? Perfect. And second question. Do you have any sort of electronic devices on you at all? No? Wonderful. We want you to be completely unplugged for this retreat today. Now, give me just a moment. Today we have a very special opportunity for you. You are going to be one of our, what do they call it? A beta tester. You're going to be a beta tester today. We're looking for some new experiences for our clientele on these retreats. And today, we want to test your sensation. And we're going to be doing this with 2 different compounds. Now, I couldn't quite get approval for the use of a numbing and stimulating agent from the pharmacy, so we did go a little DIY, but we have more than enough compounds here that we grow that really wasn't that big of a deal. So for you, what is your name? I don't know that I have you down. Would you mind spelling that for me? Wonderful. Well, the more the merrier. Today we are going to be testing an extract of the Dieffenbachia maculata, and we're also going to be testing the oil of the Mentha piperita plant. You may know these more as Dieffenbachia sap and peppermint oil. Now I think I have everything I need. And let me just see. You did sign a waiver, correct? Ah, there you are. Wonderful. So we can start. Now, we have to start with applying the agents firstly. I'm going to be using this hair brush here, and we're going to be applying it to your face. Let's start with the Dieffenbachia sap, I think. This will take a little bit of time to work properly. And now, if you could just hold still for me, I'm going to be applying this to your face, and I will absolutely stay away from the mucous membranes, and we'll stay away from definitely the neck. We don't need any complications with that. So just on more the cheeks, the jaw, and the forehead. Is that okay with you? Do I have your permission to do that? I promise that your safety is a priority in my mind. Wonderful. So let's start by just applying very gently. We don't need a lot. See, the idea from using the extract from the Dieffenbachia plant came from when I was pruning them in one of our greenhouses. And if one does not wear gloves, in addition to a lot of the other plants that have some interesting effects if one does not wear gloves. I noticed that where the sap got on my fingers, it would turn them numb. And historically, Dieffenbachia is known as dumb cane. And this is because if one were to ingest the plant, then they would be rendered unable to speak. And one of the very old-fashioned words for a mute would be to be dumb. It's a good thing that we no longer use that sort of phrasing. And instead, we paint our lovely, lovely clients' faces with the sap instead. We're going to stay away from the eyes, as I said. No mucous membranes, but I can get just under the eye here. Good, that should be enough. Now, next we have, there we go. We have our peppermint oil. I did make sure to wipe the brush off so we wouldn't have any cross-contamination. Now, if you have ever had peppermint tea or candy, gum, you would know that when you consume it, it makes everything feel cold and your taste buds in your mouth feel overstimulated. And this is due to a chemical called menthol. And peppermint oil has a lot of menthol. You can also get menthol in eucalyptus, for example, which is often used in the vapor rub that one would put on their chest. And it has that very cold feeling. And then it often warms up. Just very gently painting the menthol onto the skin. Yeah. So this should feel very sensitive to the touch, whereas on the other side, it'll be a lot more dull. And part of this experiment is to see if there is a notable difference in how our clients feel, whether they are having more of a dull sensation or if it is overstimulated. A couple different flavors to add to the repertoire. Should be enough as well. There. Sorry. Just had to sneak past you for a second. Now, we're going to give that just a moment and let me see what we have in store. So we have several different tests today. Firstly, I'm going to do a quick sensation test just with my fingers to make sure that our compounds are in fact working. And then after that, we are going to do a dull, sharp test. And that will involve the use of one of our terrarium shovels. This has a dull end, and we have a little point here. And this point is not sharp, or I should say it's not going to hurt, rather. It is a pointed form of contact. You can see just these tiny little marks here, but they will go away quite quickly. So, it will not hurt, it is just a pointed form of contact. And then we have the dull side, which should be much easier to distinguish from the sharp side. And that'll be our first test. It'll be quite simple. You won't really have to do anything whatsoever. The only thing I ask is that you stay still and that you let me know when you feel something and what the sensation is. Now, I'd like to just test the face for sensation. So, I'm going to be touching you with a finger. I'm going to start at the jaw. And if you could close your eyes for me and let me know when you feel my touch, then I'll get a more accurate idea of how your sensation is responding. Okay? Close your eyes. Wonderful. And do you feel any of this? And what about? Ah, yes. See, the heat from my fingertips is going to come into contact first with the overstimulated nerves. So you're going to feel the radiation of heat. It'll feel like I'm touching you even when I'm just a hairbreadth away. It's quite an interesting sensation, is it not? Yes, indeed. Now, I think we will start with our sharp, dull test. Now, if you could keep your eyes closed and just let me know if you feel a dull sensation or a sharp sensation. And I'm going to test these real quick. Just, let's see. Let's do right here, right at the clavicle here. Don't want to impale myself there. Although that would be very hard to do since the shovel is not very sharp. So I'm going to have you feel that. And it's not going to be the best sensation. The best, of course, would be on your skin, but both sides are influenced a little bit right now. So this is the sharp side. Yes, it just feels like a tiny bit of contact, really. And this is the dull side. Just like that. Okay. Keep your eyes closed for me. And let's start. Dull, 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 sharp, sharp, dull, dull, sharp, dull, sharp, dull, sharp. dull, sharp, sharp. I think that's quite enough. So, you can go ahead and open your eyes for a moment. So we performed our dull, sharp sensation test, and you did really well. Now we're going to test your hot and cold sensations. And this is going to be a little interesting in that it would take a much greater stimuli on someone who is numbed to feel it, but much less on someone who is overstimulated. So we went in kind of the middle. I have a couple of water globes. And these contain different temperatures of water. One is just warm to the touch, just enough that it will feel almost like as if I were touching you. Almost lukewarm. Let me test this on you. Feel that? Not so much. Let's go ahead and go for the clavicle again then. Right in here. Feel this? Wonderful. And the other. This one is slightly colder water. So this is going to be just a little bit cooler than what this would be at room temperature. So I will have you feel this right on the clavicle here. It is a little chilly, but not too bad. Feel that? Good. And together we have a hot and a cold sensation. And you just let me know whether the sensation feels hot or cold. Hot. Cold. Cold. Hot. Cold. Hot. 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 Cold. 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 Hot. Hot. Cold. Hot. Hot. Cold. 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 did not administer enough of the Dieffenbachia sap and the peppermint oil, but I think we will have to test the amount on another person since this experiment is well underway. Did I say experiment? Beta testing. Right. Now we are going to test your touch awareness and your tactile localization skills. And we'll do this with the use of our brush here. Don't let its wiry appearance fool you. It is actually quite soft, believe it or not. Let me test it right here. Feel? Yes, it is quite soft. And I will be, for example, stroking along the jaw. And I want you to tell me where you feel it. So instead of just saying yes, you would say jaw, forehead, cheek. Okay? Good. Close your eyes for me. Close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. You can't be cheating. And let's try right. Cheek. Forehead. Jaw. Cheek. Jaw. Jaw. Forehead, cheek, forehead, jaw, forehead, cheek, cheek, forehead, forehead, jaw, 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 cheek, cheek, forehead, forehead. Good question. Down the nose. Very good. Very good. Let's see. So, tell me a little bit about what the sensation feels like to you. Does it feel impacted in any way? Doesn't feel much different? Interesting. Now I'd like to test your pressure sensation and tactile localization. And for this, I will be using my fingers. Just kidding. I'm going to be using the end right here. I do not want to get any of the sap on my fingers more than I have to. They already have a little bit of a tingling from the mixture of both. Don't want to do that any more than I have to. I'm just going to be pressing on parts of your face, and I'll give you 3 different kinds of pressure. We'll do a light pressure, in which I'm just barely touching you. We'll do a medium pressure, in which I am pressing it in, but not very far. And a deep pressure, in which you definitely feel it pressing in. Okay? Alright, so let me just test this right here. We'll do our light pressure, medium pressure, and deep pressure. Okay? Alright. So you don't need to have your eyes closed for this. It would be kind of hard to see exactly what the pressure is. It's all about feeling it. We'll start with just the pressure, and then we'll do the tactile localization afterwards. So just tell me what kind of pressure it is. We have light, medium, and deep. Those are pretty easy to tell apart, yeah. So let's start right here. Light, light, medium, deep. Good. Light, medium, deep, deep, medium, light, medium, medium, deep, deep, light, 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 deep, light, light, medium, yeah, deep. Good. Now if you could tell me the pressure, and if you could tell me if it is on your jaw, if it's on your cheek, or if it's on your forehead. Okay. Let's get a little closer here. Light on the forehead, good. Medium on the cheek. Deep on the cheek, good. Light on the forehead. Deep on the jaw. Deep on the jaw. Light on the cheek. Light on the forehead. Deep on the cheek. Light on the forehead. Deep on the jaw. Medium on the cheek. Medium on the cheek. Light on the jaw. Deep on the forehead. Light on the forehead. Wonderful. How was pressure sensation? Was that impaired at all? Okay, so it was a little difficult on this side. Gotcha. That makes sense. Might have taken a little bit more time for that compound to work. Now that I think about it, if one were to administer a numbing agent, they usually wait about 5 to 10 minutes, don't they? We got started right away. we are going to pull out our bamboo forceps. And for this, we are doing a 2-point discrimination test. And this is where you tell me if you feel 1 point or if you feel 2. 1, 2, 2, 1. Okay? So let me just test right here. We have 1, of course, just like this, and 2. 1 here, and 2. So you tell me whether you feel 1 point or 2. 1 or 2. Okay? Right. Now I'm going to separate them a little bit with my fingers here. And there is at least an inch apart. And let's see how you do. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Interesting. So that sap must have really kicked in then, huh? How's the other side feeling? Kind of feeling a lot, yeah. And now we have the double simultaneous stimulation. And I'm going to use these points right here. And you will tell me whether you feel the 2 on each side equally. 1, 2, 1, 2, that sort of thing. And this is a little different in that it's not close together and it's not on the same side, but is on separate sides rather of the midline. So you just tell me whether you feel 1 or 2. And if you could tell me if they're equal. 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1. 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. Interesting. I think I want to retry that sharp, dull test with you, since when we did it at first, there wasn't really any change in sensation at that point, but now it certainly seems like you have a little bit of a challenge in distinguishing between each side. So if you could close your eyes for me and let me know whether you feel the sharp or the dull. Sharp, dull, 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 sharp, 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 dull, sharp, dull, sharp, dull, 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 sharp, sharp, dull, dull, sharp, sharp, dull, 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 Good. And then the hot and cold test. We'll see if that is any different. Let me just test. That's still warm. And that's still cool. A little less warm and a little less cool. But we'll see how we do here. Just want you to tell me whether you feel the hot or the cold. Hot, cold. Okay. Cold. Cold. Hot, definitely. Cold. Cold. Hot. Hot. Cold. 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 Hot. Cold. Cold. Hot. Cold. Hot. Hot. Cold. Cold. Hot. Hot. Cold. Cold. Okay. Well, so hot was not exactly the strong suit on the Dieffenbachia side. So when I was administering the hot and cold water, what did it feel like? Did the cold feel any different? Interesting. But you really couldn't feel the hot at all? Yes, I suppose. That is an interesting find that I did not expect. But on the other side, so it felt a lot colder and a lot warmer than before. Interesting. So how did these tests make you feel as we went along with them? Were there any specific sensations that you had as we went through the test? I see. That's not exactly what we've heard from other experimentees, clients, beta testers. I think we may have to expand in that avenue. Interesting. Let me note that down. have to keep that in mind. Now, is there anything else that you think needs to be done, or any other thoughts that you have to add? Yes, I see. Yeah, it would be a little awkward if you had to have that on for much longer. Let me see. Well, I can use some of the blue liquid from the globes and our little brush will we'll see if we can get some of this off. At least with this side, you won't really feel anything, yeah? Oh, I'm sure the blue liquid inside the water globes is fine. I mean, it's in the name, it's just water. It's probably a mix of water and alcohol and blue dye. Wonder what they use to dye it blue. Now, the effects will likely still linger for a bit of time, but it shouldn't keep perpetuating, right? As soon as it starts to dull down, since there won't be any more compound left on the skin, probably, then it shouldn't perpetuate, right? Yes, at least if you still feel anything in the face 48 to 72 hours from now, then perhaps you should give us a call. No, that doesn't mean anything bad's occurring. It's just something we want to keep in mind for future experiments, testing, clients. Very good. Thank you. Otherwise, you are all set. I have everything I need. You're all cleaned up as much as you can be. And I think that you are more than welcome to go back and enjoy your day. Right? You know what, actually, it might be advantageous for you, I think, to maybe just lay down for a little bit. Okay, yeah, I think you should do that. Well, thank you so much for your participation in this testing. It was very enlightening. I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your night.